Hey guys, tonight we're tackling the real hardship of medieval sailing. And no, it's not pirates, it's the bathroom. One hole, 200 sailors, and absolutely no privacy. If you think waiting in line at a gas station is rough, just wait till you hear how they did it at sea. If it makes you laugh, nod in sympathy, or clutch your modern toilet in gratitude, hit subscribe and drop a comment. Could you brave the queue of destiny? Sweet dreams. And may your midnight bathroom trips be blessed with light, warmth, and working locks. Congratulations, you've just woken up on a medieval ship. Your hammock creaks like old bones. Your joints protest every movement. The wooden planks beneath your feet groan with each step. But none of that matters right now, because your gut just sent you an urgent message that can't wait for coffee or morning prayers. You're not alone in this predicament. 349 other men share this floating wooden prison with you. Each one wakes up with the same biological demands. The ship operates on a strict 4-hour watch schedule that governs when you work, when you sleep, and most importantly, when you get access to the facilities. Your body doesn't care about the ship's operational requirements. Your bladder follows its own schedule. You stumble toward the deck, hoping for some kind of civilized solution. Maybe a sign pointing toward relief. Maybe soft lighting to guide your way. Maybe even something resembling toilet paper waiting at your destination. Instead, you find something that makes your heart sink faster than an anchor. 200 sailors stand in perfect formation, arms crossed, eyes glazed with a 1,000-yard stare of men who've accepted their fate. They're all waiting for the same thing you need. 4 latrines total serve this entire floating city. 2 of those are reserved for officers who get to skip this whole ordeal entirely. The ship sways beneath your feet. You grab a wooden beam for support and scan the deck for anything that looks like a bathroom. Nothing remotely resembles the comfort you're hoping for. Everything looks like a bad decision waiting to happen. The latrines sit at the very front of the ship where wind and waves hit hardest. Simple wooden seats with holes cut out. No walls. No privacy whatsoever. Other sailors move around the deck with supernatural calm. They polish their boots with careful attention to detail. They sip whatever passes for coffee from tin cups. They adjust ropes and check equipment. None of them seem affected by nature's cruel morning calling. You wonder if there's some kind of bladder training program they attended before boarding. Did they teach courses in digestive discipline at naval school? Your optimism starts to leak like water through old rope. These men have clearly mastered something you haven't learned yet. They've developed an almost supernatural ability to ignore their body's demands. You watch one sailor methodically clean his knife while his face shows no sign of discomfort. Another checks the rigging with the focus of a monk in prayer. The mathematical reality hits you like a cold wave. 200 men ahead of you, 4 available seats. Even if each person takes just 2 minutes, you're looking at over an hour of waiting. Your standards begin to drop along with your morale. The dignity you woke up with evaporates faster than morning mist. Some sailors ahead of you give up and walk away. They disappear into the ship's interior, presumably to find alternative solutions you don't want to think about. The line barely moves. Each person who leaves represents both hope and horror. Hope that the line gets shorter. Horror at what desperate measures they might be taking below deck. You notice the men in line have developed a particular posture. Perfectly straight backs, controlled breathing. They stand like statues carved from stone. This isn't just waiting in line. This is a test of endurance that separates the seasoned sailors from the landlubbers who still expect basic human comfort. The ship's hierarchy becomes painfully obvious during these morning moments. Officers stroll past the line heading toward the back of the ship where rumors suggest they have private facilities. They don't make eye contact with the waiting masses. They don't acknowledge the suffering of common sailors who serve under them. You start to understand why experienced sailors develop such impressive posture? Standing in this line every morning builds character whether you want it or not. The weak-willed probably jumped overboard by week 2. The survivors learn to treat their bladder like an enemy that must be defeated through sheer willpower. The ship's 4-hour watch system adds another layer of complexity to this morning ritual. Your biological needs don't align with maritime scheduling. The ship demands your attention for work duties regardless of your personal comfort. This creates a daily negotiation between your body's demands and the vessel's operational requirements. Weather makes everything worse. When storms hit, those exposed seats at the front become completely unusable. Wind and waves turn the latrines into death traps. Sailors get forced to find indoor alternatives that create their own set of problems below deck. Chamber pots become projectiles when the ship rolls violently. The lack of modern amenities adds insult to injury. No toilet paper exists in this world. The only cleaning solution is a long rope covered in evidence of its previous users. The rope dangles through the latrine hole into the sea below. You can haul it up when needed, but the frayed end carries months of accumulated history you'd rather not examine closely. Even with these challenging conditions, sailors have developed remarkable coping strategies. They study wind patterns to predict optimal bathroom timing. They form informal alliances to share information about shorter lines. Some wake up early just to avoid the morning rush, sacrificing precious sleep for bathroom convenience. Your first lesson in naval life becomes crystal clear. The strongest stomach wins every battle aboard this ship. Physical strength matters less than digestive discipline. Sword fighting skills pale in comparison to bladder control techniques. Today, your body just met its match against centuries of maritime tradition. This is only the beginning of your education in shipboard survival. The morning wake-up call teaches you that basic human dignity follows the ship's chain of command. Your rank determines your bathroom experience. Maritime survival isn't just about weather and navigation. It's about whether you get to go when nature calls. You discover a line of 200 sailors stretching across the deck, all standing with the patience of statues and the desperation of condemned men. They lean against railings, shift their weight from foot to foot, and stare at the horizon with blank expressions of people who've accepted their fate. This isn't just any waiting line. This is a masterclass in human endurance disguised as a bathroom queue. The mathematics hit you like a cold wave. 2 minutes per sailor times 200 men equals nearly 7 hours. Your bladder sends another urgent message, and you wonder if this is how sailors develop their legendary patience. The numbers don't lie, but they sure don't help your current situation either. You watch as some sailors give up and walk away, presumably heading below deck with chamber pots or finding dark corners where nobody asks questions. A grizzled old sailor near the middle of the line suddenly throws his hands up in frustration and storms off toward the lower decks. 2 younger sailors follow his lead within minutes. Your imagination starts filling in the blanks, and you immediately regret letting your mind wander down that path. The line moves with glacial speed, and you start to understand why veterans develop the posture of monuments. One sailor has figured out how to rest his elbow perfectly on a wooden crate. Another has discovered the exact angle to lean against the ship's railing without sliding off when the vessel rocks. These aren't accidents. These are survival techniques developed through months of morning torture. You notice the subtle social hierarchy even within the queue. Sailors near the front stand with quiet confidence. Those in the middle have resigned acceptance written across their faces. The sailors at the back, like you, still have hope mixed with growing panic. Everyone has their own coping mechanism. Officers occasionally walk past, heading toward the back of the ship, where rumor has it they have their own private facilities. They stride by with purpose, clean uniforms, and the smug satisfaction of people who don't need to plan their bathroom breaks around 200-person queues. One officer even whistles a cheerful tune as he passes. The contrast is painful. A sailor near you mentions the Batavia, notorious for having only 2 latrines for 350 crew members, 2 toilets for hundreds of sailors. You thought 4 was bad mathematics. The sailor shakes his head and explains that on ships like that, the wait could stretch half the day. You're starting to understand why some sailors preferred dangerous sea battles to morning bathroom routines. You begin to appreciate why bladder control was considered a valuable skill among common sailors. It wasn't just helpful, it was essential for basic survival and dignity. Sailors who could hold it longer had better chances of reaching the actual facilities instead of resorting to desperate measures below deck. Some old-timers could apparently go entire days without needing relief. They were legends passed down through generations of sailors. The queue becomes its own social environment. Conversations develop between neighbors in line. Stories get shared. One sailor explains the best times to get in line. Another shares tips for reading wind patterns. A third warns about the morning rush after breakfast. You're getting an education in bathroom logistics that no school ever taught. You realize some sailors have turned this into a science. They study patterns, time their arrivals, and develop strategies for minimizing wait times. One sailor explains he wakes up 30 minutes early just to beat the morning crowd. Another mentions he avoids drinking water after dinner. These aren't casual lifestyle choices. These are carefully calculated decisions made by people who've learned that bathroom access requires military-level planning. The ship rocks gently, and the entire line sways in unison. Nobody breaks formation. Nobody loses their place. They've developed a collective balance, moving together like a strange sea creature with 200 legs. You're witnessing human adaptation at its most basic level. People finding ways to maintain dignity while dealing with the most undignified situations imaginable. This isn't just a bathroom line. It's a daily test of endurance that separates the seasoned sailors from the landlubbers. The veterans know exactly how long they can wait. They understand the system. They've made peace with the mathematics of maritime bathroom politics. The newcomers like you still believe there might be shortcuts or alternatives that don't involve standing in line with half the ship's population. The line inches forward with agonizing slowness. Each step brings you closer to whatever awaits at the front, though you're starting to suspect that reaching your destination might present entirely new challenges you haven't considered yet. After what feels like an eternity, you finally reach the front and get your first look at medieval maritime engineering. 4 simple wooden seats with holes cut out, perched at the very front of the ship where the wind and waves hit hardest. These aren't toilets in any sense you'd recognize. They're more like wooden thrones designed by someone who clearly never had to use one. The craftsmanship is basic but functional, carved from thick planks with circular holes that look like they were cut with whatever tools happen to be available. The seats sit on a platform that extends slightly over the water, giving you a front row view of the ocean rushing past below. This positioning makes perfect sense from an engineering perspective. Simple wooden planking directs everything straight down into the sea. Gravity does the work, efficient and completely terrifying when you're the one expected to sit there. The platform creaks ominously with each wave that hits the bow. There are no walls, no doors, no privacy whatsoever. Just you, the ocean, and whoever happens to be walking by. The crew continues their daily tasks around you. Sailors coil ropes 10 feet away. Others check rigging directly overhead. Some walk past carrying supplies, offering polite nods as they go about their business. You're completely exposed to everyone and everything. The concept of bathroom privacy simply doesn't exist here. This is public elimination in its purest form, and you're about to become part of the show. The wind whips across the bow constantly, and salt spray hits your face as you realize the brutal mathematics of this setup. 4 seats for 350 men means maximum exposure with minimum comfort. Every movement requires you to brace against the ship's motion while maintaining your balance on a wooden seat that offers no safety features whatsoever. There's no handrail to grab, no wall to lean against. Just you and your ability to stay seated while the ship cuts through waves. You realize the seats are positioned so that waste drops directly into the sea below, which sounds logical until you consider what happens when wind and ship movement scatter things unpredictably. Wind direction suddenly becomes the most important factor in your life. The experienced sailors warned you about this, but you didn't fully understand until now. The wrong wind can turn your bathroom break into a personal disaster that affects not just you, but anyone standing downwind. You study the flags and pennants, trying to read the air currents like a meteorologist. You notice the wood around the holes is worn smooth by countless sailors who've sat in this exact spot. The edges have been polished by thousands of encounters with human contact. Some areas are darker than others, stained by weather and use. The wear patterns tell stories of sailors who've faced the same challenge you're facing now. Generations of men have sat here, each dealing with the same combination of urgency, exposure, and precarious positioning. Other sailors use the facilities with practiced efficiency, clearly having mastered the art of public elimination. They approach the seats with confidence, sit down without hesitation, handle their business quickly, and stand up like nothing unusual just happened. Their movements are smooth and calculated. They know exactly how to position themselves for safety and effectiveness. They've turned bathroom breaks into a skill that requires timing, balance, and complete indifference to public scrutiny. One sailor demonstrates the proper technique. He checks the wind direction first, then approaches the seat from the correct angle. He sits down with controlled movements, keeping his center of gravity low and stable. His face shows no embarrassment or discomfort. This is just another part of his daily routine, like tying knots or adjusting sails. He finishes his business and stands up with the same casual efficiency. The entire process takes less than 2 minutes. The view is actually spectacular. Endless ocean stretches to the horizon in every direction. The water changes color as clouds pass overhead. Waves roll in patterns that seem to go on forever. Dolphins occasionally surface nearby. Seabirds follow the ship, riding the air currents created by the bow cutting through water. Under different circumstances, this would be an amazing place to sit and appreciate the beauty of the sea. Unfortunately, your current situation makes it difficult to focus on the scenery. The platform itself shows signs of constant maintenance. New planks have been added where old ones rotted away. Iron brackets hold everything together, though they show rust stains from constant exposure to salt water. The entire structure feels solid but temporary, like something that gets repaired regularly but never quite perfected. You've discovered that using the bathroom on a ship requires skills they never taught in any school. Balance, timing, weather reading, and the ability to ignore social conventions that seemed important on land. This isn't just about relieving yourself. It's about adapting to an environment where everything you thought you knew about privacy and comfort gets thrown overboard. Just when you think you've mastered the basics of this exposed wooden nightmare, you notice something hanging nearby that makes your stomach drop even further. A long, thick rope dangles within reach of the wooden seats, swaying gently with the ship's motion. At first glance, it looks like any other piece of ship equipment. Maybe it's for tying down cargo or adjusting sails. Then you notice where it's positioned and how the sailors ahead of you keep glancing at it with expressions ranging from resignation to horror. This isn't ship rigging. This is the communal cleaning solution used by hundreds of sailors. According to historian Mike Dash, it was long, dung-smeared, and designed to snake through the hole of the latrine, with its frayed end dangling in the sea. The rope drops down through the toilet holes and hangs in the water below, where the ocean supposedly cleans the end that gets used for wiping. The theory makes sense. The practice is something else entirely. The constant motion of the ship means the rope doesn't stay in clean water. Sometimes it drags against the hull. Sometimes it gets tangled with debris floating past the ship. The end that's supposed to get rinsed often collects more filth than it loses. You realize this single rope serves the entire crew, passed from sailor to sailor, in an endless cycle of shared necessity. 350 men. One rope. The mathematics are even worse than the toilet seat situation. While you waited in line with 200 people for 4 seats, you're now looking at a cleaning system shared by everyone on the ship. Every sailor who's sat on these wooden seats has used this same rope. The rope doesn't get replaced daily or even weekly. It hangs here for months, accumulating the evidence of its purpose. The rope's texture tells stories you don't want to hear. What was once probably a clean piece of hemp now shows dark stains from top to bottom, with fibers worn and separated into a texture that looks rough against human skin. Even with sea spray constantly washing over the bow, the rope carries odors that make you step back involuntarily. Your nose immediately confirms this rope has been used for exactly what you think it's been used for. Some sailors use it without hesitation, while others stare at it with the same expression you probably have right now. You watch as a veteran sailor finishes his business, reaches for the rope without looking, and uses it with the efficiency of someone who stopped caring about hygiene months ago. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't hesitate. Then you see a younger sailor approach the rope, stop, stare at it for a full 10 seconds, and walk away still dirty. 2 completely different responses to the same impossible choice. The rope swings like a pendulum of shame, occasionally brushing against the wooden seats in a way that makes you shudder. When the ship rocks or a large wave hits the bow, the rope gets yanked down toward the water before swinging back up, sometimes hitting the seats or brushing close enough to sailors that they have to duck or step aside. You start to understand why some sailors carry scraps of cloth, pieces of canvas, or even strips torn from their own clothing. Anything seems better than grabbing that rope. Some sailors carry small pieces of fabric in their pockets specifically for this purpose. Others have learned to identify which canvas scraps around the ship are clean enough to repurpose. These alternatives require planning and preparation, but they offer an escape from the communal rope experience. The smarter sailors plan ahead, knowing that the rope's unreliable cleaning in debris-filled water makes cloth scraps a safer bet. The rope represents more than just a hygiene challenge. It's a test of how far you're willing to compromise your standards for necessity. Every sailor faces this decision multiple times per day. Use the rope and deal with the consequences, or find alternatives that might not be available when you need them most. Some sailors make peace with the rope immediately. Others spend weeks trying to avoid it, before eventually surrendering to practical reality. You notice that the rope has different sections with varying levels of wear and staining. The end that hangs in the water looks relatively cleaner than the middle sections. The top part, where sailors grip it, shows the most wear from constant handling. Someone has apparently tried to organize this system for maximum efficiency and minimum disgust. Even in the most impossible circumstances, humans find ways to create order. The democratic nature of the rope becomes clear as you watch the rotation of sailors using the facilities. Rich or poor, experienced or new, everyone faces the same choice. The rope doesn't discriminate based on rank or experience. It hangs there offering the same unpleasant service to everyone equally. You've heard rumors that some ships are starting to experiment with alternatives like specialized containers and private balcony arrangements for officers, but those innovations haven't reached common sailors yet. You've just met the most democratically shared item on the entire ship, and democracy has never felt so uncomfortable. This rope represents the ultimate test of how badly you really need to complete your business. But as you contemplate your limited options, you realize there's still another crucial factor you haven't considered yet. Wind direction becomes your new obsession because experienced sailors learn to read flags and wave patterns to avoid a gust-driven disaster. One miscalculation and you're wearing the evidence of your mistake for the rest of the day, with no changing clothes on a ship packed with 350 men and no laundry service until the next port. Life or shame depends on reading wind shifts correctly. Veteran sailors have developed an almost supernatural ability to predict the ship's roll and wind changes. They study the flags and pennants, feel the ship's rhythm in their bones, and know exactly when the vessel will lean to port or starboard. These men can predict wind shifts minutes before they happen by reading the water's surface and watching clouds. It's not magic. It's survival skills developed through years of very unpleasant trial and error. You watch in amazement as experienced crew members time their business with the precision of clockwork. They approach the wooden seats with confidence, check the wind direction one more time, and position themselves at exactly the right angle. Their movements are smooth and calculated. They know how to sit, when to lean, and how to brace against the ship's motion. The whole process takes less than 2 minutes from start to finish. They stand up, adjust their clothing, and walk away like nothing unusual just happened. This is what mastery looks like. The wind can shift without warning, turning a routine bathroom break into a lesson in physics you'll never forget. Ocean breezes don't follow schedules or give advance notice. A calm morning can become windy in seconds. A steady breeze from the east can suddenly shift to the west without any obvious reason. The ship changes course constantly, altering the relative wind direction even when the actual breeze stays constant. You learn to fear sudden wind shifts the way other people fear lightning strikes. Some sailors have learned to position themselves at specific angles, using their bodies to shield against unpredictable gusts. They create human windbreaks with careful positioning and strategic leaning. One sailor shows you how to angle your torso to deflect wind away from critical areas. Another demonstrates the proper way to grip the wooden seat for stability during rough weather. These techniques get passed down from experienced sailors to newcomers through whispered conversations and discreet demonstrations. Nobody talks about this stuff openly, but everyone needs to know. Ocean spray and ship motion add constant variables to your calculations, with salt water arriving at the worst possible moments and the vessel's roll affecting your balance when you're most vulnerable. Every wave that crashes against the bow sends droplets flying in all directions, and the timing is always terrible when you're trying to maintain dignity on an exposed wooden seat. The learning curve is steep and unforgiving. Your first few attempts result in minor disasters that teach you valuable lessons. You learn that morning winds behave differently than afternoon breezes. You discover that the ship's speed affects airflow patterns around the bow. You realize that other sailors' movements can create unexpected wind shadows or gusts. Each mistake becomes education, and each success builds confidence for the next attempt. Other sailors share their hard-earned wisdom through casual conversations and careful observations. One veteran explains how to read water patterns for wind prediction. Another describes the early warning signs of weather changes. A third sailor demonstrates proper bracing techniques for rough seas. This informal education system helps newcomers avoid the worst mistakes, though everyone still has to learn some lessons the hard way. The constant need to monitor environmental conditions creates a heightened awareness that extends beyond bathroom activities. Sailors develop an intuitive understanding of weather patterns, ship behavior, and ocean conditions. They can predict squalls hours before they arrive. They sense changes in wind direction before the flags show it. They feel the ship's rhythm change when the helmsman adjusts course. These skills prove valuable for all aspects of seamanship, not just toilet navigation. You realize that bathroom breaks have become tactical operations requiring careful planning and precise execution. Success depends on timing, positioning, environmental awareness, and the ability to adapt quickly when conditions change. What started as a basic human need has evolved into a complex challenge that tests multiple skills simultaneously. The stakes feel higher than they should for something so fundamental. You've discovered that successful bathroom breaks at sea require the skills of a meteorologist and the timing of an acrobat. Every trip to the wooden seats becomes a calculated risk involving weather prediction, physics, and personal dignity. The ocean doesn't care about your comfort or convenience. The wind doesn't follow rules or schedules. Success comes through careful observation, proper technique, and acceptance that some factors remain beyond your control. But wait until you see what happens when a storm hits and these open-air thrones become completely unusable. Dark clouds are already gathering on the horizon. The weather takes a turn for the worse, and suddenly those exposed seats at the front of the ship become death traps. Storm winds and massive waves make the regular latrines completely unusable, forcing everyone to find indoor alternatives. Dark clouds roll in faster than you can count them. The wind picks up from a gentle breeze to something that sounds angry. Waves that were manageable an hour ago now crash over the bow with enough force to knock a man overboard. The wooden platform where you've been learning bathroom etiquette transforms from uncomfortable to downright dangerous. One large wave could wash you right off those seats and into the churning ocean below. The captain orders all hands to secure the ship for rough weather, and those wooden seats at the bow disappear under sheets of seawater with every wave. With hatches battened down and gun ports sealed, the air below deck becomes thick and stagnant, while biological needs don't pause for weather. The crew seals every opening to prevent water from flooding the ship's interior. Fresh air stops flowing through the lower decks. The space fills with the breath of 350 men, the smell of wet wood and whatever else was already down there. Your lungs feel heavy just breathing. Meanwhile, your bladder doesn't care about storm protocols. Your digestive system operates on its own schedule, completely ignoring maritime emergencies. The well-mannered sailors retreat to whatever privacy they can find with their chamber pots, while others squat over ladders leading into the hold or find dark corners throughout the ship. Some sailors prepared for this situation with small ceramic or metal pots designed specifically for indoor use during storms. These lucky few handle their business in relative comfort. The less prepared crew members get creative with their solutions. They position themselves over wooden ladders that lead to lower decks, hoping gravity will carry everything away from where people walk. Others find secluded spots behind barrels or in storage areas. These improvised bathrooms appear throughout the ship without any coordination or planning. The ship's rolling motion makes even the simplest tasks dangerous, and maintaining balance becomes a life-or-death skill. Every step requires careful calculation as the vessel pitches from side to side. What seems like solid footing one second becomes a tilted nightmare the next. Trying to squat or position yourself for relief while the floor moves beneath you takes coordination you never knew you needed. One wrong move, and you're sliding across the deck, possibly taking other sailors with you. Oil lamps flicker in a stench-filled maze, and a single slip could drench the deck. The constant motion means even careful sailors miss their targets. What starts as a controlled situation quickly becomes messy. Waste drips through cracks and gaps in the wooden planks, following gravity down to the next deck level. Walking below deck becomes a dangerous game of avoiding unexpected wet spots. The more prepared crew members have chamber pots, but even these become projectiles when the ship pitches violently. A chamber pot filled with liquid becomes a dangerous weapon when the ship rolls unexpectedly. Sailors learn to hold their pots steady while trying to use them, but physics works against everyone equally. One sharp turn or large wave can send the contents flying across the cramped quarters. Other sailors duck and scramble to avoid getting splashed by someone else's emergency bathroom solution. Ventilation becomes non-existent, trapping odors and creating an atmosphere that tests everyone's endurance. With all the hatches sealed and gun ports closed, air stops moving through the ship's interior. Every smell gets trapped and concentrated. The normal ship odors of unwashed bodies, damp wood, and stale food mix with the new problems created by indoor bathroom emergencies. Breathing becomes an exercise in willpower. Some sailors tie cloth around their faces, but it doesn't help much. The waste from chamber pots and improvised solutions rarely stays contained due to the ship's constant movement. Even the most careful sailors struggle to keep everything where it should be. The rolling deck makes steady positioning impossible. Spills happen constantly, spreading the mess throughout the lower decks. What starts as individual bathroom emergencies becomes a ship-wide sanitation disaster. Excrement drips through cracks and gutters from one deck to the next, like in a birdcage, until it finally collects in the bilge. The ship's wooden construction means gaps exist between planks throughout the vessel. Liquid finds these openings and follows gravity downward. What happens on the upper gun deck drips to the lower gun deck. What happens there continues down to the orlop deck. Everything eventually flows to the bilge, the very bottom of the ship, where it mixes with seawater and creates something truly horrible. The accumulation of waste in the bilge creates a cesspool that has to be pumped out regularly. Eugenio de Salazar, who traveled to the New World in 1573, witnessed this nightmare firsthand. "Bubbling like hell, stinking like the devil," he wrote, "an underworld river bottled in wooden hull." You've learned that storms don't just threaten the ship's structure. They turn basic human dignity into a luxury item that disappears faster than dry clothes. What seemed like manageable bathroom challenges during calm weather become impossible during rough seas. Privacy becomes meaningless when survival takes priority. And everything that drips, flows, or falls through those deck boards has to end up somewhere. Deep in the belly of the ship sits the bilge, where gravity pulls everything that drips through the deck boards above. The wooden hulls were never completely watertight, so seawater seeped in constantly through gaps between planks, mixing with human waste from 350 sailors during storm-induced indoor bathroom emergencies to create something that defies description. Someone has to pump this mixture out, and that someone is usually the unluckiest sailor on the crew rotation. The bilge pump operator faces a job that combines physical labor with sensory torture. The work requires strength to operate the pump mechanism for hours at a time. It demands endurance to continue working while breathing air that makes your eyes water. Most importantly, it requires mental toughness to face this task day after day without losing your sanity or your lunch. The crew rotation for bilge duty follows a strict system designed to spread the misery equally. Nobody volunteers for this job. Nobody requests extra shifts. The assignment comes down from the officers like a prison sentence. Some sailors try to trade duties with their shipmates, offering extra rope work or sail mending in exchange for avoiding the bilge. Others attempt to time their illnesses to coincide with bilge duty assignments. The desperate measures sailors take to avoid this job tell you everything you need to know about what awaits down there. Eugenio de Salazar, who sailed to the New World in 1573, described the bilge pump's contents as unfit for tongue and palate to taste, or nostrils to smell, or even eyes to see. His words capture the complete assault on human senses that bilge duty represents. This isn't just about a bad smell. This is about a substance so revolting that it attacks every way your body tries to understand the world around you. The mixture comes out bubbling like hell and stinking like the devil, creating a sensory experience that haunts sailors for life. The bilge contents often can't be pumped directly overboard, and instead get pumped onto the next deck up, where they slowly drain through hatches and create a cascading effect of contamination throughout the ship. What starts as a bilge problem becomes a ship-wide sanitation disaster, affecting multiple levels and creating more unpleasant tasks that nobody wants to perform. The bilge pump operator becomes a ship's hero and pariah simultaneously. Everyone recognizes the essential nature of the job. Without regular bilge pumping, the ship would eventually sink under the weight of accumulated waste and water. Yet nobody wants to get too close to someone who spends hours each day covered in the evidence of their work. Bilge operators are often rotated frequently and find themselves socially ostracized, eating alone and sleeping in isolated areas, despite performing one of the most crucial jobs on the vessel. Other sailors treat bilge operators with a mixture of respect, pity, and avoidance. They acknowledge the importance of the work while keeping their distance from anyone who smells like they've been swimming in liquid nightmares. Some sailors offer small gifts or extra food rations to bilge operators as gestures of appreciation. Others simply pretend the bilge operators don't exist, finding it easier to ignore the human cost of keeping the ship operational. The smell from bilge pumping operations can be detected from remarkable distances, announcing the ship's presence to friend and foe alike. The stench carries on ocean breezes for miles, creating an invisible signature that other vessels can follow like a trail. Pirates learn to track merchant ships by following bilge odors across open water. Naval commanders worried that enemy ships could detect their approach based on the smell of their waste disposal operations. The bilge became a tactical disadvantage that affected military strategy and maritime security. You've met the ship's most heroic and least appreciated crew member. The bilge pump operator who faces liquid nightmares daily so everyone else can stay afloat. This sailor sacrifices personal comfort, social connections, and basic human dignity to perform one of the most essential jobs on the entire vessel. Without their daily battle against the ship's accumulated waste, everyone would be swimming with the fishes instead of sailing toward their destination. But not everyone aboard this floating wooden prison faces the same bathroom challenges. While you've been learning about communal ropes, exposed seats, and bilge duty, there's a completely different world of bathroom experiences happening just a few decks away. Officers and wealthy passengers enjoy bathroom accommodations that seem like royal treatment by comparison. While you queue in the wind with 200 other sailors, they have access to private latrines at the stern, complete with walls, actual seats, and protection from the elements. The contrast hits you like a slap in the face when you realize that some people on this very ship never have to wait in line, never have to check wind direction, and never have to grab that communal rope. Your social rank literally determines your bathroom experience. While you calculate wait times and wind patterns, officers walk past you toward the back of the ship with the casual confidence of people who've never had to time their bathroom breaks around weather conditions. They don't carry cloth scraps in their pockets. They don't study flag positions to predict wind shifts. They don't even look at the communal rope with the same horror you've developed. Their bathroom world operates by completely different rules. These private facilities, called garderobes, are box-shaped annexes adapted from medieval castle bathrooms for ship life. They attach to the after-castle area where officers have their quarters, offering protection from the salt spray that constantly soaks the bow facilities. The enclosed design means officers can use the bathroom during weather conditions that make your facilities completely unusable. While you're trapped below deck during storms creating chamber pot disasters, officers retreat to their garderobes and handle business normally. By the 17th century, officers' latrines moved to side galleries, providing separate rooms with actual doors that close. These galleries serve multiple purposes as luggage storage, washrooms, and private toilet facilities. Officers can close themselves inside, handle their business without spectators, and take as much time as they need without feeling rushed by long lines of waiting sailors. The galleries also provide space for personal hygiene activities that common sailors can only dream about. The contrast becomes painfully obvious when you compare experiences directly. While you wait in line with 200 other men, officers stroll to their private facilities whenever they please. They don't check the time of day to avoid peak bathroom hours. They don't wake up early to beat the morning rush. They don't calculate how long they can hold it based on queue length and weather conditions. When nature calls, they simply walk to their private rooms, handle their business, and continue with their day. The mathematical nightmare of toilet logistics that dominates your daily routine doesn't exist in their world. Wealthy passengers brought personal chamber pots and had servants to handle the cleaning and emptying. These passengers experience ship life with comfort levels that approach their land-based homes, avoiding all the challenges, competitions, and compromises that define bathroom life for common sailors. The servants who manage these private bathroom needs create another layer of the ship's bathroom hierarchy, existing in a middle tier of bathroom privilege that's better than yours, but not as good as the people they serve. The ship's hierarchy becomes impossible to ignore during morning hours when biological needs peak across all social classes. You stand in line with hundreds of other sailors while officers walk past toward their private facilities. Wealthy passengers retreat to their personal chamber pots while you calculate wind direction and wave patterns. The same basic human need gets handled in completely different ways, based entirely on social rank and economic status. The location of officer facilities at the stern provides additional advantages beyond privacy. The back of the ship offers protection from the waves that constantly crash over the bow. Wind patterns are different and generally more favorable. The stern area stays drier during storms and rough weather. Officers literally get better bathroom weather than common sailors. Even nature seems to cooperate more readily with people of higher social status. The maintenance and upkeep of officer facilities receives priority attention from ship carpenters and maintenance crews. Their facilities get repaired first when damage occurs. Their seats get replaced more frequently. Their waste disposal systems receive regular cleaning and maintenance. The ship's limited resources for bathroom improvements go toward maintaining officer comfort rather than improving conditions for common sailors. You've discovered that even basic human dignity follows the ship's chain of command. Rank has its privileges, and those privileges include bathroom privacy, comfort, and convenience. The same biological needs that create daily challenges for common sailors get handled with ease and dignity by officers and wealthy passengers. Your social position determines not just where you sleep or what you eat, but how you handle the most basic human functions. The stark inequality of shipboard toilet facilities serves as a constant reminder that social class influences every aspect of life at sea. But watching this unfair system in action also sparked something else entirely. Sailors and shipbuilders began developing creative solutions that would change maritime bathroom design forever. Faced with impossible bathroom logistics, sailors and shipbuilders developed solutions that would make modern engineers proud. The 17th century brought the first real attempts at creating organized plumbing systems on ships. These weren't accidents or temporary fixes. They were deliberate engineering projects designed to solve the mathematical nightmare of hundreds of sailors competing for basic bathroom access. Ship designers started thinking about waste management as a core part of vessel construction rather than an afterthought that sailors would figure out on their own. From the 17th century onward, ships featured piss-stales, simple lead or wooden funnels with pipes leading overboard for urination. The concept was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of sailors urinating over the side of the ship or finding random corners below deck, they could use a designated funnel system. The pipes directed everything straight into the ocean without creating puddles on deck or contributing to the bilge nightmare you've already learned about. These basic but effective systems gave sailors a hygienic alternative that reduced deck contamination and improved overall ship sanitation. The piss-dales solved the urination problem, but left the bigger challenge unaddressed. Bowel movements required different engineering solutions. Enter the steep tubs and side shelves, which hung on the ship's sides like flower boxes, with a very different purpose. These wooden contraptions attached to the ship's exterior near the main chains, each featuring a keyhole-shaped opening in the floor that allowed waste to drop directly into the sea below. Sailors had to climb into these tubs and squat over the openings while the ship rolled beneath them, requiring athletic ability alongside basic human functions. Some ships featured balcony-mounted toilets that extended over the water, offering a precarious but private experience. These looked like decorative galleries attached to the ship's stern, but they served a purely functional purpose. The balcony design provided semi-private spaces where sailors could handle business without the complete exposure of the bow facilities. The extension over water meant waste dropped directly into the ocean without touching the ship's hull. These innovations provided improved privacy and reduced waiting times for many sailors, though they came with their own challenges. The steep tubs required careful timing with the ship's roll to maintain balance, and the balcony toilets became dangerous during rough weather when waves could reach the elevated platforms. All these systems required frequent maintenance by ship carpenters who became experts at replacing corroded components and rotting wood exposed to constant salt water. The development of these sanitation solutions reflected the ingenuity of sailors and shipbuilders adapting to maritime challenges. These weren't solutions copied from land-based architecture. They were completely original designs created specifically for the unique environment of a ship at sea. The engineers had to account for constant motion, saltwater corrosion, limited space, and the need for systems that could function reliably for months at a time without major repairs. You've witnessed the birth of maritime sanitation engineering, proof that necessity truly is the mother of invention. These early plumbing systems laid the groundwork for modern ship design and demonstrated that even the most basic human needs could drive remarkable innovations. The solutions developed by 17th century shipbuilders influenced bathroom design on ships for centuries afterward. Despite this ingenuity, the race for the best seat never ended. Every morning brings a new competition that no one talks about, but everyone participates in: the race for the best toilet seat. This isn't about comfort or luxury. This is about basic human dignity and the difference between handling your business like a civilized person or becoming another statistic in the ship's daily shame reports. The competition starts before dawn when the first sailors wake up and realize they need to beat the crowd. Despite improvements and innovations, toilet capacity remained a critical problem even on later ships like the British Duke of Wellington in 1870. Even with a 6-hole platform on each side of the ship, queues still formed and not everyone made it to their destination in time. 12 toilet seats total for hundreds of sailors. Lines formed from 4 in the morning and continued until well after pipe down at night. The queues never really ended. They just shifted and changed as different sailors joined and left throughout the day. The Duke of Wellington's daily reports tell the brutal truth about this system. There were numbers of men daily who were in the report for offenses against decency, while every morning care had to be taken to remove the evidence of such offenses in scores of places. Multiple locations around the ship where desperate sailors had given up on waiting and handled their business wherever they could find privacy. Sailors developed 3 main strategies for surviving this daily competition. The early risers sacrificed precious sleep, waking before dawn to secure their spot before the morning rush began. You'd see these dedicated souls stumbling through the darkness, trading rest for dignity. Their bleary-eyed faces showed the cost of bathroom strategy, but they rarely had to wait in line. Others formed informal alliances, saving spots in line or sharing information about shorter queues. These partnerships developed naturally among sailors who worked similar shifts or slept in nearby hammocks. One sailor would hold 2 spots while his partner finished other morning tasks. Information about bathroom line lengths got passed between friends like intelligence reports. Sailors warned each other about equipment failures or cleaning operations that made certain facilities temporarily unavailable. The British Navy kept daily reports of offenses against decency, highlighting the ongoing struggle with sanitation management. These weren't occasional incidents. These were daily occurrences that required official documentation and cleanup efforts. The reports show that even modern ships with improved facilities couldn't solve the basic problem of too many people and too few toilets. Every morning brought new evidence of the previous day's bathroom failures. The competition created its own social dynamics, with bathroom timing becoming a mark of seamanship skill. Veterans who could predict the best bathroom times earned respect from newer crew members. Sailors who consistently avoided the worst lines and longest waits were seen as having mastered an important aspect of ship life. The ability to handle your bathroom needs efficiently without creating problems for other crew members became part of what separated experienced sailors from newcomers who hadn't learned the system yet. Some sailors developed almost supernatural timing abilities. They could sense when lines were about to get longer based on work schedules and meal times. They understood how weather conditions affected bathroom usage patterns. They knew which days of the week typically had better or worse facilities access. This knowledge came from months or years of careful observation and painful trial and error. The informal bathroom information network extended throughout the ship. Sailors shared intelligence about broken facilities, cleaning schedules, and temporary closures. They warned each other about officers who might be using certain facilities during specific times. They passed along tips about alternative solutions during storms or emergencies. This communication system helped reduce some of the chaos and competition, but it couldn't solve the fundamental problem of insufficient toilet capacity. The social pressure around bathroom timing created stress that went beyond physical discomfort. Sailors who consistently struggled with bathroom access faced jokes and comments from crew members who had mastered the system. Those who resorted to unauthorized locations risked official punishment and social embarrassment. The daily reports of offenses against decency meant that bathroom failures became public knowledge throughout the ship. Your bathroom mistakes could follow you for the entire voyage. You've discovered that even with technological advances, the fundamental challenge of too many sailors and too few toilets persisted for centuries. The Duke of Wellington represented decades of improvements in ship design and sanitation systems. Yet the daily reality for common sailors remained a struggle for basic bathroom access. Innovation could improve the situation, but couldn't completely solve the mathematical nightmare of hundreds of people competing for limited facilities. The Navy developed creative solutions for maintaining both order and cleanliness that would make modern disciplinarians take notes. On Mondays, any slip-up earned you public shaming at the mast and a week under the swabber. This wasn't some casual suggestion about good behavior. This was official naval policy documented in Vice Admiral William Monson's Naval Tracts, which laid out exactly what happened to sailors who couldn't keep their stories straight. The system was brilliant in its simplicity and terrifying in its effectiveness. One small lie on the wrong day could transform your entire week into a nightmare of scrubbing, pumping, and cleaning things you'd rather forget existed. According to Monson's official records, the first sailor caught lying on Monday morning faced a very specific punishment that combined public humiliation with practical consequences. Monday mornings weren't chosen randomly. This timing served as a weekly reminder about the importance of honesty at the start of each work week. It set the tone for the days ahead and ensured that the consequences of dishonesty were immediately apparent to everyone on board. The strategic timing also meant that any sailor considering a lie had 7 full days to think about whether their story was worth the potential consequences. The unfortunate liar would be proclaimed at the mainmast with a general cry of, "A liar, a liar, a liar," for all to hear. This wasn't a quiet reprimand delivered in private. This was a full theatrical production designed to maximize shame and embarrassment. The entire crew gathered around the mainmast while the lying sailor stood in the center of attention. Your shipmates, your officers, and anyone else within earshot learned exactly what you had done wrong. The public nature of this shaming was intentional and effective. For that entire week, the lying sailor became under the swabber, responsible for scrubbing wooden seats, maintaining communal ropes, emptying chamber pots, and operating the bilge pump. The swabber position was already considered the lowest status job on the ship. Being assigned to it as punishment added an extra layer of humiliation. Everyone knew you weren't there because it was your regular duty. You were there because you couldn't tell the truth on a Monday morning. The punishment served multiple purposes within the carefully structured world of naval discipline. It maintained honesty among the crew by creating serious consequences for dishonesty. It ensured the cleanliness of the ship's toilets, which were essential for the health and well-being of everyone on board. It provided entertainment for the rest of the crew, who enjoyed watching the liar perform the ship's most unpleasant duties. The system killed 3 birds with 1 stone while teaching valuable lessons about truthfulness, responsibility, and the consequences of poor choices. Sailors became remarkably careful about their Monday morning statements, developing cautious speech patterns throughout the ship. The threat changed behavior in ways that extended far beyond the actual punishment. Some sailors practiced their stories in advance to make sure they could tell them consistently. Others simply avoided making any statements that might be questioned or verified. The psychological impact created a culture of careful communication and honest interaction. The system created a culture where maintaining the ship's sanitation became a matter of personal honor and public shame. Cleanliness wasn't just about health and hygiene. It became connected to honesty, integrity, and social standing within the ship's community. Sailors understood that their personal behavior directly affected the ship's overall sanitation standards. The connection between moral conduct and physical cleanliness reinforced both values simultaneously. Good sailors told the truth and kept their living spaces clean. Bad sailors lied and got assigned to clean up everyone else's messes. The social dynamics created by this system extended throughout the ship's hierarchy. Officers could use the threat of swabber duty to encourage honesty in their interactions with common sailors. Experienced sailors warned newcomers about the importance of truthful Monday morning conversations. The punishment became part of ship folklore, with stories passed down about sailors who learned hard lessons about honesty through weeks of toilet cleaning. These stories served as cautionary tales that reinforced the system's effectiveness. The effectiveness of Monday morning justice stemmed from combining public humiliation with genuinely unpleasant physical labor. The public shaming created immediate social consequences that every sailor wanted to avoid. The week of toilet cleaning provided ongoing physical reminders about the importance of honesty. The combination of social and physical consequences created powerful motivation for truthful behavior. Sailors learned that lies had costs that extended far beyond the original deception. The timing of the punishment created a weekly rhythm that reinforced naval discipline. Monday mornings became opportunities for officers to test sailor honesty and demonstrate the consequences of deception. The 7-day duration meant that punishments were visible throughout the ship for extended periods. Other sailors witnessed the ongoing consequences of dishonesty every day for a full week. This constant visibility reinforced the lessons about truthfulness and created lasting impressions about the importance of honest communication. You've learned that naval discipline extended to every aspect of life, including the creative use of toilet cleaning as punishment for dishonesty. The Monday morning justice system reinforced honesty while keeping the heads reasonably clean through a combination of shame and practical consequences. But for those who avoided the lies, endured the cues, and survived the system long enough, something better awaited. After months or years of queuing, wind checking, and rope avoiding, you finally achieved the ultimate maritime bathroom goal. Promotion brings privileges, and the greatest privilege is your own private toilet seat, a throne with a hole in actual walls. This isn't just another wooden board with a circular opening. This is your personal sanctuary where biological needs meet human dignity. The box-shaped garderobe attached to the aftercastle represents everything you've worked toward since that first desperate morning when you discovered the 200-person queue. You've survived the communal rope, mastered wind direction like a meteorologist, endured storm chaos where chamber pots became flying projectiles, and outlasted countless bathroom competitions where timing meant everything. The private seat represents more than just convenience. It's a symbol of survival, endurance, and hard-earned dignity. Every scratch in the wooden walls tells the story of sailors who reached this same achievement through similar struggles. As you sit in your private facility for the first time, you remember every moment of the journey that brought you here. The morning you woke up desperate and discovered the queue of legends stretching across the deck. The first time you grabbed that communal rope and questioned every life choice that led to that moment. The storms when bathroom breaks became indoor disasters and the entire ship smelled like evidence of biological failure. The Monday mornings when you watched lying sailors get assigned to swabber duty and learned that honesty had practical benefits. The wind still blows outside your garderobe walls. The ship still rocks with the same rhythmic motion that once threatened to knock you off those exposed seats at the bow. But now you have protection from the elements that used to determine whether your bathroom break would be successful or catastrophic. The walls block the salt spray that soaked you during every trip to the communal facilities. The door that actually closes creates a barrier between you and the world that used to watch your most private moments. You realize that dignity isn't about where you go. It's about how you survive the journey to get there. The months of waiting in line taught you patience that extends far beyond bathroom logistics. The daily competitions for facility access showed you how to read social dynamics and predict crowd behavior. The wind direction lessons turned you into someone who understands weather patterns and atmospheric pressure. The rope experience taught you that some compromises are necessary for survival, even when they challenge everything you thought you knew about personal hygiene standards. Your garderobe offers the same basic function as those exposed seats at the bow, but the experience is completely transformed by privacy and protection. The same hole drops waste directly into the ocean using simple gravity disposal, just like the communal facilities. The physics work exactly the same way. But the psychological impact of walls, privacy, and personal space changes everything about the experience. You can take your time. You can handle your business without spectators. You can use the facilities during weather conditions that would make the bow seats completely unusable. The journey from desperate sailor to private facility owner required more than just time and promotion. It demanded learning skills that landlubbers never need. Reading wind patterns like a forecast meteorologist, timing bathroom breaks with the precision of a military operation, developing bladder control that borders on superhuman, understanding crowd psychology and queue dynamics, managing hygiene standards under conditions that challenge basic human dignity. These skills separate sailors from civilians in ways that go far beyond knowing how to tie knots or navigate by stars. You think about the sailors still waiting in those morning queues, studying wind directions and calculating wait times with the desperation you remember so clearly. Some of them will earn their own private facilities eventually. Others will spend entire careers queuing for communal seats and grabbing that shared rope. The system continues regardless of individual success stories. New sailors arrive and discover the same mathematical nightmare of too many people and too few toilets. You've achieved the ultimate maritime success story. Your own toilet seat with a view, earned through patience, perseverance, and probably a few lies avoided on Monday mornings. The garderobe walls protect you from elements that once determined your daily comfort and dignity. The private space respects your humanity in ways the communal system never could. You earned this sanctuary through months of enduring challenges that tested every aspect of your character and survival instincts. If you think you could survive this maritime bathroom nightmare, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through history's messiest moments, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories they never taught you in school. The dignity you've earned sits in stark contrast to the struggles that brought you here, and those struggles reveal something profound about human nature itself. These sailors built hierarchy and honor out of necessity, transforming basic human needs into tests of character and community. Tonight you've journeyed through history's most universal yet unspoken challenge and discovered that even bathroom breaks required courage at sea. They faced impossible odds with remarkable ingenuity, creating solutions that defied description while maintaining dignity in the most undignified circumstances. Next time you grumble at a line, remember these sailors mastering wind and waiting for a hole in wood. They earned their thrones through endurance, patience, and survival skills no school ever taught. If you enjoyed this voyage through history's messiest moments, subscribe and hit the bell. Hey guys, tonight we're talking about how lying on a Monday can accidentally earn you the best seat on a medieval ship. It's the heartwarming tale of one sailor, one mop, and a wooden plank so perfect it really should have charged rent. If this made you smile, hit subscribe and drop a comment. If you had your own secret bathroom spot on a storm-tossed ship, what would you name it? And with that, snuggle in, let the waves rock you gently, and may your dreams be free of mop duty. Good night, swabbers. Sleep clean. Monday morning on a cramped ship, salt spray hitting your face, and you're staring at a rope that needs climbing. Your back aches from sleeping on planks harder than your grandmother's biscuits. The sun barely peeks over the horizon, but duty calls, so you do what any reasonable person would do. You tell the tiniest white lie in human history. Can't climb today, Captain. My shoulder's acting up something fierce. We've all been there. That harmless little fib to avoid an unpleasant task. Maybe you called in sick to skip a meeting, or told your spouse you forgot to pick up milk when really you just didn't want to leave the house. These small deceptions feel innocent enough. They're survival tactics in a world full of inconveniences. But here's the thing about medieval ships. Privacy doesn't exist. Sound travels through every wooden plank like gossip through a small town. Your whispered conversation with your bunkmate about faking shoulder pain. The captain heard every single word. He was standing 3 feet away, hidden behind a sail, listening to your entire performance. Medieval ship captains didn't mess around with discipline. They couldn't afford to. When you're stuck on a floating wooden box with 50 other men for months at a time, small problems become massive disasters fast. One sailor skipping duties means everyone else works harder. One lie unpunished means everyone starts lying. The punishment arrives faster than you can say, "But I was only joking." The captain's boots stomp across the deck with purpose. His shadow falls over you like a storm cloud. You know immediately that your Monday morning has taken a very bad turn. "Congratulations," he announces loud enough for the entire crew to hear. "You've just volunteered for swabber duty. 1 full week. Your stomach drops to your boots. Swabber duty means cleaning. Not just any cleaning, the worst, most disgusting, most humiliating cleaning jobs on the entire ship. While your crewmates handle important sailor tasks like managing sails and navigating, you'll be scrubbing floors, emptying buckets, and dealing with messes that would make a pig farmer queasy. The crew doesn't even try to hide their amusement. Snickers ripple across the deck like waves. Someone coughs to cover a laugh. Another sailor makes exaggerated shoulder-rubbing motions behind the captain's back. Your reputation just transformed from decent sailor to the guy who lies about fake injuries. A junior officer appears with your new equipment. The mop looks like it survived several plagues. The bucket bears stains that defy explanation. The cleaning rag smells like a combination of rotting fish, stale beer, and something that might once have been cheese. You accept these tools with the enthusiasm of someone accepting a death sentence. "Attention crew," the captain bellows, his voice carrying across every inch of the ship. "Meet your new full-time swabber." 7 days of dedicated service, courtesy of his creative storytelling skills. The pointing starts immediately. Sailors nudge each other and whisper behind cupped hands. Your dignity doesn't just evaporate, it practically launches itself overboard and swims for shore. The hierarchy of ship life just rearranged itself, and you're now occupying the bottom rung with a spectacular view of everyone else's boots. You want to explain yourself. You want to argue that everyone tells white lies sometimes. You want to point out that your shoulder really does hurt a little bit on cold mornings. But medieval ship justice doesn't include appeals processes or second chances. You told a lie, got caught, and now you pay the price. The worst part isn't the punishment itself. It's the knowing looks from your crewmates. They're not just laughing at your misfortune. They're mentally filing away this moment for future reference. You've become a cautionary tale. The sailor who thought he could outsmart the captain. The guy who learned that shortcuts sometimes lead to mop duty. As you stand there holding cleaning supplies that smell like maritime nightmare, something interesting happens. The initial embarrassment starts wearing off. The snickers fade into background noise. Your brain begins calculating the logistics of your new reality. 7 days of swabber duty means 7 days away from regular sailor responsibilities. No more climbing rigging in rough weather. No more hauling heavy ropes until your hands bleed. No more standing watch during storms while waves crash over the deck. You'll be working below deck, away from wind and weather, handling tasks that require more patience than physical strength. But here's what nobody realizes yet, including you. This punishment that feels like social death is actually about to become the best thing that ever happened to you on this floating wooden prison. While your crewmates prepare for another week of back-breaking labor above deck, you're about to discover something that will make every single one of them wish they had thought of faking a shoulder injury first. Your Monday morning fib just earned you access to the most valuable real estate on the entire ship. You don't know it yet, but that mop in your hands is about to become a key to maritime paradise. The bucket that smells like regret will soon smell like opportunity, and that stained rag. It's your ticket to comfort that other sailors can only dream about. As you head toward the stairs leading below deck, your fellow sailors watch with a mixture of pity and amusement. They think they're witnessing your descent into punishment hell. What they're actually watching is your journey toward becoming the most envied person on the ship. The irony is perfect. Your lie about avoiding work just landed you the cushiest assignment in the entire maritime world. You just don't know it yet. Down you go into the ship's belly, clutching your mop like a condemned man holding his last meal. The wooden steps creak under your boots as you descend into what everyone assumes is maritime purgatory. Your fellow sailors watch from above with genuine sympathy. Poor bastard, their faces say. 7 days in the dungeon with nothing but rats and rot for company. The lower decks have a reputation that would make a cemetery jealous. Dark as midnight even during sunny days, damp air that clings to your skin like wet wool. Every sailor knows the stories about what lurks down here in the forgotten corners of the ship, rotting wood that crumbles when you touch it. Water that seeps through cracks and creates puddles of mysterious origin, and rats. Always rats. Big ones that look at humans like they're considering a career change from pest to predator. You expect the worst as you reach the bottom of the stairs. Your nose prepares for an assault of stale air, mildew, and whatever unholy combination of smells accumulates when 50 men live on a wooden box for months without proper washing facilities. The darkness swallows your lantern light like hungry shadows. Every step forward feels like walking into a cave designed by someone who really hated comfort. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. As you navigate between storage crates stacked like wooden mountains, dragging your mop behind you, something catches your eye. Or rather, something doesn't catch your eye the way it should. There's a gap between two large crates that seems different. Not darker, not damper. Actually brighter somehow, though that seems impossible this far below deck. You squeeze between the crates, expecting to find another corner full of ship nastiness. Instead, your boots step onto something that shouldn't exist on a medieval vessel. Dry wood. Not just surface dry, but deep in the grain dry. Wood that feels like it belongs in a cozy tavern, rather than the bowels of a ship that's been battling ocean spray for months. The space opens up into a small nook that someone obviously forgot when they designed this floating prison. Tucked away behind storage containers and coils of rope that probably haven't moved since the ship left port, sits the most beautiful sight you've ever seen on water. A wooden plank positioned at exactly the right height, not too high, not too low. Perfect for someone who needs a comfortable spot to sit and think about life choices. You run your hand across the surface and discover something miraculous. This wood isn't just dry, it's smooth, polished by years of, well, you're not sure what polished it, but the result feels like furniture crafted by someone who actually cared about comfort. The grain runs in gentle curves that seem designed for human contact. No splinters, no rough edges, just perfectly weathered wood that feels warm under your palm. The positioning hits you next. This spot sits in the exact center of the ship, protected by cargo on all sides. The wind that torments everyone above deck can't reach this sanctuary. Ocean spray that soaks sailors during storms stops dead at the walls of crates surrounding this hidden throne. Even the ship's constant rocking feels gentler here, buffered by the weight of supplies that keep this corner stable and peaceful. Privacy comes next on your mental checklist of impossible luxuries. Above deck, personal space means the width of your shoulders and whatever small corner you can claim for sleeping. Down here, surrounded by forgotten cargo and rope coils, you've discovered a private chamber that might as well be a royal suite. No one comes looking for missing supplies in this particular corner. No officers patrol between these specific crates. This nook exists in a dead zone of ship activity. The lighting situation defies explanation. Somehow, just enough natural light filters down through cracks and gaps to make this spot usable without creating a beacon that attracts attention. It's dim enough for privacy, but bright enough for practical purposes, like someone engineered the perfect balance between secrecy and functionality. You test the acoustics by dropping your mop. The sound gets swallowed by surrounding cargo before it can travel far enough to alert anyone above deck. Perfect silence when you need it. Natural sound dampening that would cost a fortune to install intentionally. This hidden spot offers both comfort and discretion, the two things most impossible to find on a crowded ship. The temperature down here stays remarkably stable. While sailors above deck battle freezing spray and burning sun depending on weather conditions, this corner maintains a consistent warmth that feels like sitting next to a gentle fireplace. The surrounding cargo acts like insulation, creating a microclimate that ignores whatever meteorological chaos rages outside the ship's hull. You realize this spot has been completely overlooked by every sailor, officer, and captain who's ever walked these lower decks. It sits in plain sight, yet remains invisible due to its position behind storage containers that never move. Like finding a secret room in a house you've lived in for years. Everyone walks past without noticing the gap between crates that leads to maritime paradise. The functional aspects become clear as you examine the setup more closely. The height positions everything at exactly the right level for comfortable use. The width provides adequate space without feeling cramped. The surrounding walls of cargo create natural armrests and back support. Someone could spend considerable time in this spot without experiencing the discomfort that comes with most ship facilities. This discovery represents more than just a comfortable wooden plank. It's a complete solution to the most persistent problem faced by every sailor who's ever lived on a ship. Privacy, comfort, stability, and discretion all combined in one forgotten corner that everyone else missed. While storms rage above and sailors cling to whatever shelter they can find, you've stumbled onto the maritime equivalent of a luxury hotel room. The irony hits you like a rogue wave. Your punishment for lying just led you to the most honest comfort available on the entire ship. Your sentence to the worst assignment possible just delivered you to the best-kept secret in maritime history. That mop in your hands isn't a symbol of shame anymore. It's the key that unlocked access to something extraordinary. This isn't just a wooden plank tucked away in a forgotten corner. This is about to become your throne, your strategy, your salvation from everything that makes life at sea miserable. Standing in this forgotten corner of the ship, staring at the most perfect wooden plank in maritime history, you realize something important. Great discoveries need proper names. You can't just call this miraculous spot that plank behind the crates or the dry place near the ropes. This sanctuary deserves recognition. It deserves dignity. It deserves a name that honors what it represents. Naming inanimate objects might sound ridiculous to people who've never lived on a cramped ship with 50 other men. But when privacy becomes extinct and personal space shrinks to whatever few inches you can claim for sleeping, objects take on deeper meaning. Your hammock becomes home. Your knife becomes friend. Your small wooden chest becomes treasure vault. So when you discover the most comfortable, private, functional spot on the entire vessel, that plank transforms from furniture into salvation. The name needs to match the importance of your discovery. Something casual like Betsy or Old Reliable won't capture the significance of what you've found. This plank represents hope in a place where hope usually drowns in salt water and despair. This spot offers comfort where comfort shouldn't exist. This corner provides privacy on a ship designed to eliminate privacy completely. You consider several options while running your hand across the smooth wood surface. Margaret sounds too formal, like naming a throne room. Sally feels too casual for something this revolutionary. Elizabeth carries too much royal baggage for a ship that already has enough hierarchy problems. The name needs strength without arrogance. Reliability without stuffiness, dignity without pretension. Cynthia emerges as the perfect choice. The name carries weight without sounding pompous. It suggests reliability without implying subservience. Cynthia sounds like someone you could trust with secrets. Someone who would provide comfort during difficult times. Someone who would never betray your confidence or abandon you when storms hit. Most importantly, Cynthia sounds like a name deserving of respect. You whisper the name quietly to test how it sounds in this hidden space. Hello, Cynthia, the words feel right. They carry the proper balance of familiarity and reverence. You're not talking to a piece of wood anymore. You're greeting a companion who's about to make your life significantly better. This relationship developing between you and Cynthia isn't romantic love in any traditional sense. But it's definitely love built on mutual benefit and deep appreciation. Cynthia offers you something no other location on this ship can provide. In return, you'll protect her secret and treat her with the respect she deserves. It's a partnership based on trust, reliability, and shared interest in maintaining privacy. While other sailors fight each morning for the least uncomfortable spots on deck, you now have guaranteed access to perfection. They scramble for positions that offer minimal wind protection. They compete for corners that provide barely adequate privacy. They settle for spaces that stay dry only during perfect weather conditions. You have Cynthia. The contrast becomes more obvious as you mentally compare your discovery to every other facility available on the ship. Above deck, sailors deal with constant wind that makes everything unpleasant. Ocean spray soaks anyone who stays in one place too long. The ship's rocking motion creates balance challenges that turn simple tasks into athletic competitions. Privacy disappears completely when other crew members can observe everything happening in shared spaces. Cynthia solves every single one of these problems. Her position between storage crates blocks wind completely. The cargo surrounding her prevents ocean spray from reaching anywhere near your private sanctuary. The ship's cargo hold maintains stability that makes her area feel solid as land. Most importantly, her hidden location ensures complete privacy from prying eyes and curious observers. Her practical positioning reveals itself as genuinely brilliant the more you examine the setup. The height places everything at exactly the right level for comfortable extended use. The width provides adequate space without feeling cramped or exposed. The angle offers perfect support for leaning back and relaxing. The surrounding cargo creates natural armrests and barriers that enhance both comfort and privacy. The protection from splashback becomes particularly important as you consider how weather affects other areas of the ship. Above deck, sailors constantly battle moisture from waves, rain, and general ocean dampness. Even covered areas stay wet because wind drives water into every possible opening. Cynthia's position deep in the cargo hold means she stays bone dry regardless of weather conditions raging outside the ship's hull. Privacy represents the most valuable aspect of your relationship with Cynthia. On a ship where personal space measures in inches rather than feet, having access to a completely private area feels like discovering buried treasure. No officers patrol between these particular storage crates. No fellow sailors come looking for supplies in this forgotten corner. No ship activities require anyone to disturb this hidden sanctuary. You've found the only truly private real estate on the entire vessel. The more time you spend with Cynthia, the more you understand that she represents something beyond simple convenience. She's revolutionary. While other sailors accept discomfort as an unavoidable part of maritime life, you've discovered that comfort actually exists on ships. It just takes creativity and luck to find it. Most sailors assume that privacy died the moment they stepped aboard. You've proven that wrong by finding the one spot everyone else missed. Cynthia doesn't just offer practical benefits. She provides psychological relief from the constant stress of communal living. Having access to solitude becomes crucial for maintaining sanity during long voyages. The ability to sit quietly without interruption allows your mind to rest in ways impossible anywhere else on the ship. This mental break makes every other aspect of maritime life more tolerable. Your punishment officially transforms into privilege the moment you christen this plank with her proper name. What started as humiliating consequences for telling a white lie has become access to the ship's most valuable resource. That mop in your hands isn't a symbol of shame anymore. It's your legitimate excuse for visiting Cynthia whenever you need comfort, privacy, or simply a break from the chaos above deck. From this moment forward, Cynthia becomes your secret weapon against everything that makes life at sea miserable. She's your escape from wind and weather, your refuge from crowded conditions and lack of privacy. Your solution to the fundamental problem of finding comfort on a wooden prison floating in the middle of nowhere. You've just christened the most valuable real estate on the entire ship, and she's all yours. Now comes the delicate dance of returning to Cynthia without raising suspicion from your crewmates. Your official swabber duties give you legitimate access below deck, but those duties only last so long. You can't spend entire days cleaning the same floor without someone noticing that either you're the worst cleaner in maritime history or something fishy is happening in the cargo hold. The challenge becomes timing your visits perfectly. Too frequent and people start asking questions. Too infrequent and you lose precious time with your discovery. You need excuses that sound believable without sounding rehearsed. Explanations that give you extended access to below-deck areas without making anyone curious enough to investigate your activities personally. Your first excuse emerges naturally during a routine check from the junior officer. He pokes his head down the stairs just as you're settling in for some quality time with Cynthia. Panic shoots through your system like lightning. Your brain scrambles for something that sounds official and important enough to justify extended cleaning time. "Still mopping down here, sir," you call out with perfect innocence. "This floor appears to be emotionally unstable. Every time I think it's clean, it starts weeping again." The officer pauses for a moment, processing your explanation. Damp ship floors are common enough that your description doesn't raise immediate red flags. He accepts your creative terminology and leaves you alone to continue your important cleaning work. The first test passes successfully, and you've discovered that humor mixed with technical-sounding language creates believable excuses. Each return visit requires fresh creativity. You can't use the same explanation twice without someone noticing the pattern. Your brain starts working overtime to craft new stories that sound legitimate while buying you maximum time with your secret sanctuary. The key becomes finding the sweet spot between believable and boring. Exciting enough to justify extended time below deck, but not so exciting that anyone wants to come investigate personally. The rat excuse becomes your emergency backup plan. Medieval ships are notorious for rodent problems, so claiming rat sightings raises zero suspicion from officers or crew members. Better yet, most sailors actively avoid areas where rats have been spotted. Your imaginary rodent problem becomes the perfect way to keep curious people away from Cynthia's location. "Saw a rat the size of a small dog down there," you announce loudly enough for several crew members to overhear. Nasty-looking creature with teeth like daggers. Probably the ship's previous cat gave up and joined the other side. The beauty of rat excuses lies in their complete unverifiability. Nobody wants to go hunting for dangerous rodents in dark cargo holds. Your fellow sailors simply accept your word and make mental notes to avoid that particular area of the ship. You've created a protective barrier around Cynthia using nothing but creative storytelling and people's natural fear of oversized rats. Your acting skills improve dramatically as the days progress. What started as simple lies transforms into elaborate performances designed to sell whatever story the situation requires. You practice facial expressions that convey genuine concern about cleaning emergencies. You develop body language that suggests exhaustion from battling particularly stubborn messes. Most importantly, you master the art of sounding frustrated without sounding suspicious. The dramatic rag-throwing technique becomes your signature move when someone gets too curious about your extended below-deck activities. You emerge from the cargo hold looking appropriately disheveled, holding your cleaning rag like evidence of hard labor. Then, with perfect timing, you hurl the rag onto the deck with enough force to suggest genuine frustration with whatever cleaning challenge you've been battling. "This ship is testing my patience," you declare while wiping sweat from your forehead. "Every time I clean one mess, two more appear like magic. It's like the cargo hold has a sense of humor, and I'm the punchline." Crew members see physical evidence of your hard work. They witness your apparent frustration with difficult cleaning conditions. Most importantly, they lose interest in investigating your activities because you've convinced them that below-deck work involves nothing but tedious, unpleasant tasks that no reasonable person would want to observe personally. Your repertoire of excuses grows more sophisticated as you gain experience in creative storytelling. Water damage becomes a recurring theme that explains extended cleaning time. Mysterious stains provide excellent justification for thorough scrubbing activities. Structural concerns about loose boards create legitimate reasons for careful inspection of hidden areas. Each excuse sounds official enough to satisfy casual questioning while being boring enough to discourage follow-up investigations. The crew gradually develops two competing theories about your extended cleaning activities. Some sailors believe you've become the most thorough cleaner in the ship's history. They respect your dedication to maintaining proper hygiene standards in challenging conditions. Others think you're simply the unluckiest sailor ever assigned to swabber duty, constantly discovering new problems that require immediate attention. Both theories work in your favor. The thorough cleaner reputation makes officers less likely to question your methods or timeline. The unlucky sailor theory makes crew members sympathetic to your apparent struggles with impossible cleaning challenges. Either way, people stop paying close attention to your below-deck activities because they've accepted your explanations as routine parts of swabber duty. Your confidence grows with each successful excuse. What started as desperate improvisation becomes systematic strategy for manufacturing privacy through creative storytelling. You realize that most people accept reasonable explanations without demanding proof, especially when those explanations involve unpleasant work that nobody else wants to investigate personally. The psychological aspect of excuse-making reveals itself as you perfect your techniques. People want to believe explanations that confirm their existing assumptions about ship life. Cleaning is unpleasant, so extended cleaning time makes sense. Rats are common, so rat problems sound believable. Ship maintenance requires constant attention, so discovering new issues seems normal. Your excuses work because they align with everyone's expectations about maritime reality. You've transformed from amateur liar caught in a white lie to master strategist capable of manufacturing legitimate-sounding reasons for extended privacy. Your punishment duties provide perfect cover for the most sophisticated comfort-seeking operation in maritime history. While your crewmates accept your increasingly creative explanations, you're building something unprecedented. A sustainable system for regular access to luxury accommodations on a ship designed to eliminate luxury completely. The irony becomes perfect. Your original lie about shoulder pain got you into trouble. Now your advanced lying skills are getting you out of trouble and into comfort that other sailors can't even imagine. Cynthia waits patiently in her hidden corner while you perfect the art of creative excuse-making above deck. When weather turns nasty on a medieval ship, comfort becomes more valuable than gold. Storm clouds gather on the horizon like dark omens, and every sailor knows what's coming. The crew prepares for hours of misery involving rough seas, howling winds, and the kind of bone-deep cold that makes you question every life choice that led to this floating wooden prison. Officers start barking orders about securing loose items and checking rope knots. Experienced sailors begin that grim ritual of tying themselves to whatever solid objects they can find. Above deck transforms into a battlefield between humans and nature. Sailors cling to ropes with white knuckles, their faces already green from seasickness that hasn't even started yet. The ship begins its violent dance with waves that seem determined to flip the entire vessel upside down. Every few seconds, ocean spray crashes across the deck like icy punishment for daring to sail in the first place. Men pray to whatever gods they remember from childhood, bargaining with divine forces for just a few hours of calm weather. The rocking motion intensifies until walking becomes impossible without grabbing onto something solid. Crew members scramble for whatever shelter they can find, which usually means huddling behind barrels or squeezing into corners that offer minimal protection from wind and water. Some sailors wedge themselves between cargo containers, accepting that they'll spend the next several hours getting soaked and battered by elements that care nothing for human comfort. But here's where your story takes a beautiful turn. While chaos erupts above deck and grown men start looking like scared children, you grab your trusty mop with a knowing smile. Your fellow sailors watch with confusion as you head confidently toward the stairs leading below deck. They assume you're either completely insane or have finally cracked under the pressure of swabber duty. What they don't realize is that you're about to demonstrate the difference between surviving a storm and conquering it. Your descent below deck feels like entering a completely different world. The screaming wind that torments everyone above becomes muffled background noise. The violent rocking that turns walking into extreme sports settles into gentle motion that feels almost soothing. The freezing spray that soaks sailors to their bones can't penetrate the cargo hold where Cynthia waits patiently for your arrival. While other crew members grip wet ropes with numb fingers, you settle comfortably onto dry wood that stays perfectly stable regardless of weather conditions outside. While they battle wind gusts that threaten to knock them overboard, you enjoy complete stillness in your hidden sanctuary. While they shiver in soaked clothing that clings uncomfortably to their skin, you remain warm and dry in the ship's most protected corner. The contrast becomes almost ridiculous as the storm intensifies. Above your head, sailors curse the weather, the ship, their decision to become sailors, and probably their mothers for giving birth to them. Below deck, you sit in peaceful comfort, listening to their suffering like distant entertainment. The chaos raging just feet above your head might as well be happening on a different ship entirely. Cynthia proves her worth during these violent weather episodes. Her position between cargo containers creates a pocket of stability that defies the physics of stormy seas. While the ship rocks dramatically from side to side, her corner remains remarkably steady. The surrounding cargo acts like shock absorbers, dampening the motion that makes life miserable everywhere else on the vessel. You can actually relax during storms while everyone else fights for basic survival. Your timing develops into something almost supernatural. You seem to predict rough weather with accuracy that would impress professional forecasters. Dark clouds appear on the horizon, and you immediately start preparing for extended below-deck activities. Wind patterns shift slightly, and you're already grabbing your mop for another emergency cleaning session. Your weather reading skills become so sharp that you often head below deck before the storm actually arrives. The crew starts noticing your uncanny ability to disappear just before conditions turn unpleasant. They watch you descend into the cargo hold moments before waves start crashing over the deck. Some sailors begin to wonder if you possess magical powers or special knowledge about maritime weather patterns. Others assume you've developed cowardly instincts that help you avoid the worst parts of sailing life. Both theories miss the actual truth. You don't have supernatural weather predicting abilities. You just have access to information that other sailors ignore. Spending time in the ship's lower levels teaches you to feel subtle changes in motion and pressure that predict incoming storms. The cargo hold amplifies small vibrations that warn of rough seas approaching. Your regular visits to Cynthia have accidentally turned you into an expert at reading the ship's early warning signals. This knowledge transforms your relationship with bad weather completely. While other sailors dread storms and rough seas, you actually look forward to them. Stormy conditions give you perfect excuses for extended below-deck time without raising anyone's suspicions. Officers become too busy managing crisis situations to question why the swabber needs extra time cleaning during emergencies. Your fellow sailors are too miserable to care about your whereabouts. The psychological advantage becomes as important as the physical comfort. Knowing that you have access to safety and warmth during storms eliminates the anxiety that consumes other crew members. They spend hours dreading bad weather because they know it means hours of suffering. You anticipate storms because they provide opportunities for extended comfort time with Cynthia. Your reputation shifts from punishment case to weather expert. Sailors start paying attention to your movements, using your below-deck departures as unofficial storm warnings. When they see you heading for the cargo hold with your cleaning supplies, they know to prepare for rough conditions. You've accidentally become the ship's most reliable meteorologist without trying. The irony reaches perfect levels during the worst storms. While officers shout orders and sailors struggle with basic survival, you sit comfortably in your secret sanctuary, dry and warm and completely protected from the chaos above. Your punishment for lying about shoulder pain has transformed into a superpower that makes you immune to the worst aspects of maritime life. Weather that sends experienced sailors into panic mode becomes your signal for quality relaxation time. Storms that make grown men cry become your invitation to extended comfort sessions. Conditions that make everyone else miserable become your gateway to peace and privacy that would cost a fortune to purchase on land. You've achieved something that should be impossible on a medieval ship. While storms rage and sailors suffer through maritime hell, you've discovered heaven floating in the middle of the ocean. Every perfect system faces its greatest test, and yours arrives in the form of a fresh-faced sailor who thinks enthusiasm can replace experience. The new guy shows up on Tuesday morning with energy that makes seasoned crew members roll their eyes. He's eager to prove himself, thorough in everything he does, and worst of all for your situation, he's been assigned as your replacement swabber. This rookie doesn't just accept swabber duty with resignation like normal people. He embraces it like someone discovering buried treasure. While you spent your first day with the mop feeling humiliated and defeated, this kid acts like cleaning below deck is the most important job on the ship. He asks questions about proper mopping techniques. He studies the cleaning supplies like they contain secret knowledge. He actually volunteers for extra shifts. The captain introduces him during morning assembly with obvious approval. Here's someone who understands that every job on the ship matters, he announces. Someone who takes pride in maintaining proper hygiene standards. Someone who shows real dedication to thorough cleaning practices. You listen to this praise while your stomach drops toward your boots. Dedication and thoroughness are exactly what you don't need in a replacement swabber. Your first hint of trouble comes when the rookie starts asking about below-deck areas that previous swabbers ignored. He wants to know why certain corners haven't been cleaned recently. He points out storage areas that look like they could use attention. He suggests creating systematic cleaning schedules to ensure complete coverage of all cargo hold spaces. Each suggestion feels like a dagger aimed directly at your secret sanctuary. The kid's work ethic becomes apparent within hours of starting his duties. While you perfected the art of strategic excuse-making to extend your time below deck, he actually cleans things. Thoroughly, systematically. He scrubs floors until they shine. He organizes cleaning supplies with military precision. He approaches swabber duty like someone preparing for inspection by royalty. Thursday morning brings the moment you've been dreading since this enthusiastic replacement arrived. You're above deck helping with routine sailor duties when you notice the rookie heading below with his cleaning supplies. Nothing unusual about that, except he's carrying extra equipment and wearing the expression of someone planning serious exploration. Your blood turns cold as you realize he's about to conduct the kind of thorough below-deck investigation that could expose everything. You find excuses to position yourself near the stairs leading to the cargo hold. Your ears strain to track his movements through the wooden floors. His footsteps echo through the lower decks as he navigates between storage containers and rope coils. Each sound brings him closer to the area where Cynthia waits in perfect, vulnerable silence. The kid's voice drifts up through the floorboards as he talks to himself while working. He's commenting on areas that need attention, noting supplies that could be better organized, making mental lists of cleaning priorities for future reference. His systematic approach means he's not just cleaning randomly, he's mapping every inch of space below deck. Panic sets in as you realize the mathematical certainty of what's happening. The rookie is working his way methodically through the cargo hold. His path will inevitably lead him between the same storage crates that led you to your discovery. There's no way to avoid it. No route through the lower decks that doesn't pass directly by Cynthia's location. Your secret sanctuary sits exactly in the path of anyone conducting thorough cleaning activities. You consider your options with growing desperation. Running below deck to interfere directly would raise too many questions. Creating a distraction above deck might work, but officers are watching crew activities closely today. Claiming sudden illness would be suspicious given your recent punishment for lying about fake shoulder pain. Every possible solution carries risks that could expose your secret even more effectively than letting events unfold naturally. The rookie's footsteps grow louder as he approaches the critical area. You can hear him moving cargo containers to access hidden corners. The sound of thorough scrubbing suggests he's cleaning areas that haven't seen attention in months. His dedication to completeness means he won't skip any space that could benefit from proper maintenance. Time slows as you track his progress toward disaster. His boots scrape against wooden floors as he squeezes between storage crates. His voice grows clearer as he moves closer to your hidden sanctuary. He's still talking to himself, making observations about ship maintenance that demonstrate exactly the kind of thoroughness that threatens everything you've built. Your mind races through increasingly desperate scenarios. Sabotaging his cleaning supplies would be too obvious. Creating false emergencies above deck would require cooperation from other crew members. Claiming knowledge of dangerous areas below deck would invite exactly the kind of investigation you're trying to prevent. Every strategy contains fatal flaws that could make the situation worse. The moment of truth arrives with crystalline clarity. The rookie's footsteps stop exactly where they shouldn't stop. His voice carries a note of curiosity that makes your heart hammer against your ribs. He's found the gap between crates that leads to Cynthia's location. You can practically hear him examining the setup, trying to understand why this particular corner looks different from everywhere else. Seconds stretch like hours as you realize your perfect system is about to collapse. The rookie will discover your secret sanctuary. He'll realize what you've been doing during all those extended cleaning sessions. Word will spread through the crew that the former punishment case found luxury accommodations in the ship's most unexpected location. Your access to Cynthia will disappear forever. In a moment of pure desperation, you unleash your most dramatic performance yet. Every technique you've perfected for creating believable excuses comes together in one explosive display of theatrical terror. You sprint toward the stairs leading below deck while screaming at volume levels that would wake the dead. "Rat!" you bellow with Oscar-worthy terror, your voice cracking on the single syllable like someone witnessing genuine horror. Massive rat with glowing eyes. The performance includes visual elements that sell the complete story. You hurl your wet cleaning rag with enough force to suggest you've been battling something genuinely dangerous. Your face contorts into expressions of pure fear mixed with righteous anger at whatever creature dared to threaten ship hygiene standards. Your entire body language communicates the urgent need for backup against an unprecedented rodent emergency. The rookie's footsteps scramble away from Cynthia's area as he retreats from whatever nightmarish creature your performance has conjured in his imagination. His voice carries genuine concern as he asks about the size and location of this dangerous rat. You maintain your terrified act while positioning yourself between him and your secret sanctuary, standing guard over everything that matters most on this floating wooden prison. 7 days pass like a fever dream of mop duty and secret sanctuary visits. Your sentence officially ends on a Tuesday morning when the captain calls you over during crew assembly. He announces your release from swabber duty with the same ceremonial tone he used for your original punishment. The crew watches as you hand over your cleaning supplies to the eager rookie who's been shadowing your every move. Freedom should taste sweet after a week of supposed humiliation. You should feel relieved to escape the lowest position on the ship's hierarchy. Your fellow sailors expect to see joy on your face as you return to regular duties involving actual seamanship instead of glorified janitor work. They pat your shoulder and offer congratulations for surviving your punishment with dignity intact. But something strange happens as morning duties begin in earnest. The captain assigns you to rope maintenance duty alongside 3 other sailors. It's honest work that requires skill and attention to detail. No embarrassment involved. No social stigma attached. You should feel grateful to rejoin the ranks of respectable crew members handling important maritime responsibilities. Instead, your eyes keep drifting toward the cleaning supplies stacked near the ship's main mast. The mop stands innocently against a wooden crate, waiting for the rookie to claim it for his next below-deck expedition. The bucket sits nearby, still stained with mysterious ship grime that tells stories of maritime maintenance adventures. Your fingers twitch with muscle memory as you remember the weight of that mop handle in your grip. The pull toward those cleaning supplies defies logical explanation. You've spent the last week complaining about swabber duty to anyone who would listen. You've acted appropriately humiliated by your punishment assignment. You've played the role of reformed liar who learned his lesson about honesty and responsibility. But your hands reach unconsciously toward cleaning equipment like they're drawn by magnetic force. Your crewmates notice your distracted behavior during rope maintenance activities. They ask if you're feeling all right. You mumble something about adjusting to normal duties after a week of different responsibilities. The explanation sounds reasonable enough to satisfy casual curiosity, but it doesn't address the growing certainty that regular sailor work feels wrong somehow. The morning progresses with increasing internal tension. Your body goes through the motions of checking knots and inspecting rope conditions, but your mind keeps wandering below deck. You find yourself calculating how long the rookie's cleaning sessions typically last. You wonder if he's discovered any interesting areas during his thorough exploration activities. Most importantly, you worry about whether he's spending time in Cynthia's corner. Lunch break arrives with perfect timing. The crew disperses to various activities around the ship. Some sailors catch up on mending clothes or writing letters home. Others gather in small groups to share stories and complaints about maritime life. A few find quiet corners for napping in whatever sunshine manages to penetrate the ship's rigging. You head straight for the cleaning supplies with purpose that surprises even you. Your hands close around the familiar mop handle like greeting an old friend. The bucket feels natural in your other grip. These tools that symbolized punishment and social humiliation now represent something entirely different. They're your legitimate excuse for visiting the most important location on the ship. The descent below deck feels like coming home after a long absence. Your feet know exactly which steps creak loudest. Your eyes adjust automatically to the dimmer lighting conditions. Your nose recognizes the familiar combination of wood, rope, and storage container smells that mark the transition from public ship areas to private sanctuary space. Navigating between storage crates requires no conscious thought after a week of practice. Your body moves through the familiar path like following a map burned into muscle memory. The gap between containers opens before you like a doorway to paradise. Cynthia waits exactly where you left her, unchanged and perfect. Settling onto her smooth wooden surface triggers immediate psychological relief. The tension that built throughout the morning dissolves as you reconnect with genuine comfort. This isn't just about physical convenience anymore. It's about emotional stability in an environment designed to eliminate personal space and private moments. Cynthia represents sanity preservation in maritime chaos. The realization hits with crystal clarity as you sit in peaceful solitude. Your punishment ended, but your relationship with this hidden sanctuary has just begun. What started as consequence for lying has transformed into voluntary routine based on genuine need. You're not returning to Cynthia because you have to anymore. You're here because you want to be here, because this spot provides something essential that regular ship life can't offer. The psychology of habit reveals itself in fascinating ways. Humans adapt to circumstances by finding patterns that provide comfort and stability. Your week of forced below-deck time created neural pathways that associate cleaning supplies with access to privacy and peace. Those pathways don't disappear just because official punishment ends. They strengthen with repetition until visiting Cynthia feels as natural as breathing. Your situation demonstrates how punishment can accidentally become privilege when circumstances align properly. The captain intended to humiliate you with menial cleaning duties. Instead, he gave you access to luxury accommodations that other sailors can't even imagine. Your brain recognizes this advantage and refuses to abandon it simply because external requirements change. The rookie's voice echoes from somewhere deeper in the cargo hold as he conducts his enthusiastic cleaning activities. His presence reminds you that maintaining access to Cynthia requires ongoing strategy. You can't simply grab cleaning supplies whenever the mood strikes without raising questions about your motivations. But you also can't abandon this sanctuary that has become essential to your psychological well-being. Old habits die hard, especially when those habits involve perfect bathroom facilities on a ship where privacy is extinct. Your muscle memory reaches for cleaning supplies because your brain understands their value as keys to paradise. Your feet carry you below deck because your body knows where comfort lives in this floating wooden prison. The irony becomes perfect as you sit in peaceful contentment on your secret throne. Official punishment ended this morning, but voluntary punishment is about to begin. You'll continue grabbing mops and buckets not because you have to, but because you've discovered something worth protecting. Cynthia isn't just a convenient wooden plank anymore. She's home, comfort, and sanity rolled into one perfectly positioned piece of maritime real estate. Your punishment transformed into privilege, and privilege transforms into permanent lifestyle choice. Change happens slowly on ships, like rust spreading across metal or barnacles growing on hulls. But your transformation catches everyone's attention because it defies the natural order of maritime misery. While your fellow sailors wake each morning with the same complaints about cramped quarters, terrible food, and endless discomfort, you greet each day with something that shouldn't exist on a medieval vessel: genuine contentment. The shift becomes obvious during routine conversations. Other crew members grumble about sleeping on wooden planks that feel like torture devices designed by sadistic carpenters. You nod sympathetically while secretly thinking about the comfortable solitude waiting below deck. They complain about lack of privacy and constant noise from 50 men living in impossible proximity. You make appropriate sounds of agreement while mentally planning your next visit to Cynthia's peaceful corner. Your fellow sailors notice the change in your body language first. Where you once carried yourself with the defeated posture of someone serving humiliating punishment, you now walk with quiet confidence. Your shoulders stay relaxed instead of hunched with stress. Your face shows calm satisfaction rather than the grim resignation worn by everyone else dealing with ship life's endless irritations. The contrast becomes more apparent during meals in the cramped eating area. Sailors typically use mealtime for competitive complaining about their latest misfortunes. Someone always has the worst bunk assignment. Another crew member suffered the most unfair work detail. A third sailor endured the most uncomfortable weather conditions. This daily ritual of shared misery helps bond the crew through mutual suffering. But you participate differently now. You listen to complaints with genuine sympathy instead of adding your own grievances to the pile. When someone describes particularly unpleasant experiences, you offer understanding nods rather than trying to top their story with worse examples. Your responses carry the undertone of someone who has access to comfort that others lack. Whispers start circulating during quiet moments when officers aren't listening. Crew members exchange theories about your mysterious transformation from punishment case to contented sailor, simply by continuing the same duties you've been performing all along. Small groups gather in corners to discuss your situation in hushed tones. Some sailors think you've discovered hidden supplies that make life more comfortable. Others suspect you've found ways to avoid the worst aspects of ship duties through clever maneuvering. A few crew members wonder if you've made special arrangements with officers that provide advantages not available to regular sailors. The speculation intensifies when several sailors volunteer for cleaning duties, hoping to uncover whatever secret advantage you've discovered. These volunteers approach swabber work with enthusiasm that puzzles officers but delights them because suddenly everyone wants to help maintain ship hygiene standards. The eager volunteers spend extra time below deck, searching for whatever treasure you've obviously found in the cargo hold. But their investigations yield disappointing results. They find the same damp conditions, storage containers, and cleaning challenges that have always existed in the lower decks. They discover no hidden supplies or secret passages that explain your improved attitude. Their thorough exploration reveals nothing that would justify the satisfaction you display after spending time below deck with cleaning equipment. Meanwhile, you watch their failed investigations with careful amusement. These well-meaning sailors look in all the wrong places because they assume your advantage involves something obvious like extra food or better sleeping arrangements. They never consider that the real treasure might be something as simple as privacy and comfort in an unexpected location. Their systematic searches miss Cynthia completely because they're looking for conventional advantages rather than revolutionary solutions to basic problems. Your reputation begins shifting in fascinating ways as the failed investigations continue. Sailors who initially pitied your punishment assignment now view you as someone who outsmarted the system through superior intelligence or creativity. They respect your ability to find advantage in apparently disadvantageous circumstances. Your status evolves from object of sympathy to source of envy. The attention extends beyond regular crew members to include ship officers who monitor crew behavior for signs of trouble or exceptional performance. The captain notices your improved attitude during daily interactions and begins wondering what lessons you learned from your punishment experience. He observes your willingness to continue cleaning duties even after your sentence ended and interprets this as genuine character development. Officers start using you as an example of how proper punishment can reform problematic sailors. They point to your transformation as evidence that swift consequences for lying and rule breaking actually work to improve crew behavior. Your case becomes a success story that validates their disciplinary methods. The irony becomes beautiful as your reputation shifts from ship liar to ship genius without anyone understanding the actual reason for your transformation. Crew members assume you possess special knowledge or skills that allow you to thrive under conditions that make everyone else miserable. Officers believe your punishment experience taught you valuable lessons about responsibility and hard work. Both groups are completely wrong about your motivations. but their misconceptions work perfectly in your favor. Your fellow sailors begin treating you with subtle deference that acknowledges your apparent superiority in adapting to ship life. They ask your advice about handling difficult assignments. They seek your opinions about ship conditions and potential improvements. Some crew members even modify their own behavior to emulate whatever strategy they think you're using to maintain such unusual contentment. The captain's approval becomes particularly valuable as your reputation for wisdom and adaptability grows. He assigns you to increasingly important tasks that demonstrate his confidence in your reformed character. These better assignments provide excellent cover for your continued cleaning activities because everyone assumes you're volunteering for extra duties out of dedication rather than self-interest. You've achieved something that should be impossible on a medieval ship where comfort is extinct and privacy is a luxury no one can afford. While other sailors accept misery as inevitable, you've discovered that paradise exists for those clever enough to find it and patient enough to protect it. Your punishment transformed into privilege, and your privilege transformed into legendary status among crew members who can't figure out your secret. Swabber number 7 becomes a maritime legend whispered about in crew quarters and officer meetings. Everyone knows you've discovered something valuable, but no one can prove what that something might be. Your success story spreads beyond your own ship as sailors share tales of the punishment case who turned cleaning duty into the most envied position in maritime history. And through all the speculation, investigation, and growing reputation, Cynthia waits patiently in her hidden corner, your perfectly kept secret that explains everything while revealing nothing. Your story reveals something profound about human nature and the art of survival in impossible circumstances. What started as punishment for the smallest Monday morning lie transformed into a masterclass in adaptation that would make professional strategists jealous. One tiny fib about shoulder pain accidentally unlocked access to the most valuable real estate on an entire medieval ship. The lesson here goes far beyond maritime history or cleaning duty assignments. Life has a twisted sense of humor when it comes to hiding opportunities inside disasters. The worst assignments often contain seeds of advantage that only become visible to people willing to look beyond surface misery. While most sailors accepted swabber duty as pure punishment, you recognized it as potential access to unexplored territory. Where others saw humiliation, you found possibility. Where others expected suffering, you discovered comfort that exceeded anything available through conventional means. This pattern repeats throughout history in ways that would surprise people who only focus on obvious advantages. The most successful individuals often built their foundations during periods that looked like complete failure to outside observers. They found value in places where everyone else saw only problems. They protected opportunities that others dismissed as worthless. They understood that real advantage often hides behind circumstances that most people try desperately to avoid. Medieval ships provide perfect examples of this principle because they stripped away every comfort that makes life tolerable. Privacy disappeared completely in living spaces designed for maximum efficiency rather than human dignity. Personal space shrunk to whatever few inches each sailor could claim for sleeping. Comfort became extinct except for officers who enjoyed slightly better accommodations through rank and authority. Regular crew members accepted misery as inevitable because they couldn't imagine alternatives existing within such constrained circumstances. But constraints often create opportunities for people clever enough to recognize them. Limited space means unexplored corners gain extraordinary value. Lack of privacy makes any secluded spot worth protecting like treasure. Shared misery means individual comfort becomes revolutionary advantage. The very conditions that make life difficult also create gaps where creative solutions can flourish. Your success with Cynthia demonstrates this principle perfectly. While other sailors focused their energy on complaining about ship conditions or trying to avoid unpleasant duties, you transformed the most unpleasant duty into access to luxury accommodations. Your approach required no special skills, superior strength, or advanced maritime knowledge. It demanded something much rarer, the ability to see potential where others saw only problems. The psychology behind this transformation reveals fascinating truths about human adaptability. Most people spend their energy trying to escape difficult circumstances rather than finding ways to thrive within them. They waste time and effort fighting against situations they cannot change instead of looking for advantages that might exist inside those same situations. They assume that obvious solutions represent the only possible approaches to complex problems. Your discovery process followed a completely different pattern. Instead of fighting against your punishment assignment, you accepted it completely and then explored what that assignment might offer beyond its obvious drawbacks. Instead of trying to minimize your time below deck, you maximized it and used that time for systematic exploration. Instead of focusing on the humiliation of cleaning duties, you recognized that cleaning duties provided legitimate access to areas other sailors never visited. This mindset shift from resistance to exploration makes the difference between surviving difficult circumstances and thriving within them. Survival means enduring problems until they go away. Thriving means finding ways to benefit from problems while they exist. Your story demonstrates how punishment can become privilege when approached with creativity rather than resentment. The strategic elements of your success deserve particular attention because they reveal principles that apply far beyond maritime settings. Protecting valuable discoveries requires discretion that prevents others from recognizing and competing for the same advantages. Your excuse-making system served this purpose perfectly by creating plausible explanations for extended access to below-deck areas without revealing the true reason for your interest. Maintaining access to advantages often requires more creativity than discovering them initially. Your elaborate performances involving dramatic rag throwing and rat sightings protected Cynthia's location more effectively than any physical security system could have managed. You understood that the best secrets remain hidden not through locks and barriers, but through making other people lose interest in investigating what you're protecting. The timing aspect of your strategy also demonstrates sophisticated understanding of human psychology. You recognized that storm conditions provided perfect cover for extended privacy sessions because everyone else became too distracted by their own discomfort to pay attention to your activities. You used environmental chaos as camouflage for activities that might have attracted suspicion during calm weather. These tactical approaches reveal deeper wisdom about power dynamics in confined social situations. Real influence often belongs to people who control access to scarce resources rather than those who hold official authority. Your position as someone with exclusive access to genuine comfort gave you psychological advantages that no amount of rank or seniority could have provided. The broader implications extend into every area of human experience where resources are limited and competition is intense. Whether dealing with workplace politics, social hierarchies, or economic challenges, the same principles apply. Success often comes from recognizing value in overlooked places rather than competing for obvious prizes that everyone else wants. Your relationship with Cynthia represents something beautiful about human ingenuity in adverse circumstances. When external conditions eliminate conventional paths to comfort and satisfaction, creative individuals find unconventional alternatives that work even better than original options. They adapt not by accepting limitations, but by discovering possibilities that exist beyond those limitations. The environmental factor adds another layer of significance to your story. Storms that made life miserable for everyone else became your signal for extended comfort sessions. You learned to read weather patterns, not as threats to be endured, but as opportunities to be seized. This reversal of perspective transforms challenges into advantages through simple recognition that different people can have completely different relationships with the same circumstances. Your story ultimately demonstrates that real power in any storm, whether literal or metaphorical, belongs to those who know where the dry spots are located. While others struggle against wind and rain, you sit comfortably in spaces that remain warm and stable regardless of external chaos. While others accept discomfort as inevitable, you prove that comfort exists for people smart enough to find it and patient enough to protect it once found. The lesson transcends medieval ships and cleaning duties. In any difficult situation, advantages exist for people willing to look beyond obvious solutions and explore possibilities that others miss completely. So the next time life hands you a mop and sends you below deck, remember Swabber number 7 and his beloved Cynthia. Sometimes punishment becomes privilege when you're smart enough to recognize opportunity hiding inside disaster. The worst assignments often contain the best secrets, waiting for someone clever enough to find them. Sometimes the best seat in the house is the one nobody else wants, until they realize what they're missing. While others complained about their circumstances, one sailor discovered paradise in the most unexpected corner of maritime misery. Sweet dreams, and may your own storms always lead you to perfectly dry planks.